Blog Talk Radio.
Looks good in this on. Roger. ACS arm switch is on. Okay, Victor. Landing rocket arm switch is on. Here comes the throttle. Circuit breakers in. We have separation. Inboard and outboards are on. We're coming forward with the side stick. Looks good. Roger. I've got a blowout. Number 3. Pitch to 0. Engine out. I can't hold altitude. Correction. Alpha hold is off. Trip selected emergency. Flight calm. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
Austin, astronaut, a man barely alive.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man. Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you were with us or you were with the terrorists.
I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
I feel like this all the time, trying to politically awaken people that they're being lied to, that there's an agenda. It's not left or right. It's, hey, there's mind control going on. The signal's broadcast 24 hours a day through all this media. Just become aware of it, and they'll say there's nothing going on. And I want to say, put on these glasses or start chewing concrete.
They have taken the hearts and minds of our leaders. They have recruited the rich and the powerful, and they have blinded us to the truth.
The question is, do we all work for central bankers? That's what I want to address to our guest tonight.
Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep.
An estimated 50 to 70 million Americans suffer from a sleep disorder or sleep deprivation.
Outside the limit of our sight, feeding off us, perched on top of us from birth to death, are our owners.
Latest census numbers prove the United States has the biggest gap between rich and poor compared to all westernized countries today.
Our projections show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance. The gains have been substantial, both for ourselves and for you, the human power elite.
And for the first time in all of human history, mankind is politically awakened. That's a total new reality.
I've got one that can see.
We can't be the only ones who can see.
Unfortunately, you've grown up hearing voices that incessantly warn of government as nothing more than some separate, sinister entity that's at the root of all our problems.
It's a new morning in America. Fresh.
That's right. It's a new morning in America. It's been a new morning now. Of course, the Trumpers are gone, and the New World Order is marching full speed ahead. Now they're even talking about it on the fake news, China now, the big China deal, and they got Biden there sipping champagne with the president of China, the images of that. But, military's on red alert. They're They're going to invade us. What happened? I thought they were on the Canadian border. They were getting ready to roll. They're still up there training, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, China is our biggest, imagine China. They could probably send, 100 million man army? Just storm the East Coast, storm the West Coast, right? What would happen? What do you think would happen if that happened? If they just stormed them? I remember World War II, they said the Japanese, if they would have attacked the United States after bombing Pearl Harbor, they would have directly attacked with their Pacific Fleet, okay? Because remember, our Pacific Fleet was completely annihilated, so we were in trouble. They would have did a ground attack. They would have made it to Chicago, okay, before we could stop them. Because they would have came on, obviously, the California coast. They would have made it to Chicago. Yeah. That's what the military experts said back then, and they still agree today. That's how far they would have made it. Because, what would you have done? I mean, just think of the population back then, too, of the United States. It wasn't like today. I mean, it was a lot of farmland, and the cities weren't developed like they were today. So, but it's what would happen if China did that? 100 million man army. They just came. Well, what is our military going to do? They're not even, they're too busy guarding the Capitol. They're too busy rounding you up. That's next year. Oh. Yeah, well, it's coming. I wasn't supposed to say that. But yeah, it's coming. The New World Order has won, pretty much. The Republic is dead. The Patriot movement, the militias, they got no credibility anymore. It's all. What was all the training for? What was all the jumping around and swinging from trees in the woods? What was it all for? I don't know. What was all that talk? Or get ready, you bug out. Get ready, get ready. Here we go. The cold, hard knock on the door. It never happens. And the thing of it is that I'm not saying I want it to happen, but for goodness sake, I had the National Guard on the phone with me live the other night. Where were all these Monday morning quarterbacks at? I had these two of them on the phone with me. I was asking them questions. Hey, anyone could have jumped in. Where were you? The Dumbo ain't playing this week, is it? No, we get ready for that. Where was everybody? I mean, all these armchair quarterbacks, you could have said, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? Instead, you want to go on Facebook and post, that and get kicked off there. And, there's lots of questions that could have been asked. I'm not going to be the freaking the poster boy here for the Patriot movement there, any militia group or anything like that. I'm not going to be the poster boy. I asked some simple questions of them, and I already knew their answers anyway. I already knew what they were going to say. It's not the first time I've done it. Last year I had them on here, and they were talking about gun confiscation. I've had them on here. I've NRA, all of them, live on this platform. Prime Minister of Canada, had him on here, former Prime Minister of Canada. We did organ harvesting. We had them all on here. We had the Veterans Against ISIS. They were forming, mercenaries going over there, fight ISIS. Remember ISIS? Big thing was ISIS. Everybody being persecuted over there. All that. All these things happen. It's like cycles. We talked about that last night. If you missed last night's podcast, that was a really good show where we had Dr. Peter Ventura, Pastor Richard Godinez, and Richard Godinez is a really good guy. He was an employee of a Fortune 500 company. I mean, he was one of the high up guys, and it was 6 figures he was making. Gave it all up. Gave it all up to go out and preach the gospel. Gave it all. No paycheck no more. That's it. I'm out of here. I don't like my life anymore. I'm turning my life over to God. And people knock him. You're gonna knock the guy? Yeah. Oh, your message is boring. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I wouldn't want to have your message when you go split hell wide open. So it's people are just who would you rather listen to? Your hero. It's insane. Like Michael Jackson. Remember Michael Jackson, the king of pop? I remember when I was a kid, he came around where everybody. I said, what the hell's wrong with you? I mean, look at the guy. He's a freak. And I used to crack a joke. I used to say this joke. I used to say, America is the only place where a poor black boy, America is the only place where a poor black boy can grow up to be a rich white woman. Oh, boy, I'm getting kicked off of Facebook again just for that one. I don't know. Anyway, Yeah, let's see here. The phone number is 657-383-0616. I mean, all you guys are pounding me, man. You guys want Bert to come on here? I mean, you guys wanted him on last night. I mean, what's up with this? And then, of course, you got the trolls. They're like slandering this guy. You know, I'm not even going to repeat half the foul language that they said, but everybody's emailing me. Yeah, I like that guy Bert. Why don't you try to get him back on? You know, yeah, I'm like, listen, man, wait, you want me to give the show to him? I mean, he's got his own show over there Wednesday nights. Go over to he's open phones, as a matter of fact. So, you know, but he comes on here sometimes, so I don't know if he'll come in and check in tonight. I don't know. I got about 15 callers, 20 callers on the call board, so I'll scroll down here in a minute and check. And I sent him a text message, say, hey, you know, I mean, I've got a lot of people hammering me here, you know, with the messages. They want to hear your voice. So I guess he's got a message. I guess nationalism, that's, you know, the NSM there, they got a good message, you know. I mean, go to their rally, show your support them, go to their website. They, you know, donate to them. Fund them, man. You need money. You know, George Soros is funding the black, you know, all these other organizations out there that are burning down the cities. You know, fund the NSM. They're not burning down those cities. They're not attacking people. They're not beating nobody up. They're not smashing out windows. You know, fund them. Go to the NSM website. You know, fund them up. You know, send your money, send your donations. Come on. You know, you get 20,000 people. Every 20,000 people, if every single person sent $1, that's $20,000. You know. I mean, they could use that money, traveling, expensive. I mean, things cost money out there. You go to McDonald's, 2 people, $25. You know, for what? A quarter size hamburger. You know, and a drop of milk called a milkshake. You know, you'll piss your money away on that. Come on, man. You know, the republic is dead. Like I said, everything's dead. It's. I don't know where we're going to go from here. I don't think we're going to survive 4 years of Biden and Kamala Harris, because Biden will 6 more months. He'll probably invoke the 25th there and say he's sick and he can't carry on, or he's going to collapse or something, you know, or the guy can't even sign his name. I mean, he can't even talk. So he's losing, you know, he's just like a prop. So he's a stick figure. So, you know, so Kamala Harris is going to be president. That's an easy prediction to make. We already know that too. But what is it? You know, when she gets in there, it's full speed ahead. So anyway, if you missed also last week, the 6 stages of the New World Order, and if you missed the show I did, of course, the other night there on the NSM, you know, had to interview the National Guard out there, and then this guy came in at the end and started debating me about self-governance. You know, everybody's going to be self-governing, and they're going to govern themselves, and doesn't work, my friend. Doesn't work. I wish he'd call in tonight. I'd like to debate him on that. But press the number 1 if you want to come on board here. Press the number 1, everybody, and I will get you on here live. Understand the times in which you live today. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Oh, another thing, too, I want to say thanks to my friend there who emailed me, and then he called me tonight. I was sitting there driving home, and he sent me a nice email. He says, I got getting a lot of these lately, actually, ever since I went over to the NSM, too. You know, I've been getting a lot of nice emails. You know, hey, I love your show. I support you. You know, I'm driving to work in the morning. I listen to you. You know, because they can go to the web, you know, the Blog Talk and click on the archive shows, and you know, and I listen to you and everything. That right there is cool as hell when somebody says that. You know, they're going to work in the morning. Before they're going to work, they're listening to me. You know, I mean, that's maybe I motivate them. You know, get through the day. You know, I don't know. But that's awesome right there. I like that. Then I had another guy, you know, email me and says, hey, you know, I just want to say I support the show and listen to it. I've been listening every single day, every single time you have a show, you know, and he named off all the shows I did. A lot of them I did, and you know, so that stuff's really cool. I like that. I appreciate that because they know that I get a lot of idiots, complete bottom-dwelling idiots that live in their grandparents' basement in their underwear and sit there staring, you know, in the dark with the bright, you know, screen of the TV flashing at them, and their eyes bulged out, staring at pornography probably because they can't get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And I get a lot of those jerks, and there's a lot of them in society, you know. So, you know, I don't know what's going to happen to them if anything when the New World Order starts rounding people up. But all right, here, first caller, 614. Here we go. Let's see. Go ahead. You're live.
Hey, Joe. It's been a long time.
How you doing? Hey, I recognize the voice. How you doing, partner?
I'm doing all right, man. You know, I've been...
I know I recognize the voice, of course, but what's on your mind, brother?
Oh, just listening to what you're saying about the whole Patriot movement, and of course you know that I've had my share of frustrations with all the Patriot movement ascribed to be, and the militia groups and all of that, and all that the disappointment that was brought about and all of that.
Yeah, you were let down.
You
were let down. Yeah, you were let down big time. I mean, you saw it firsthand. I will agree.
Yeah. So I just kind of fell away from the whole thing in my disappointment because I realized that Donald Trump was basically the Pied Piper that just led everybody to stand down while the New World Order was being instituted, and I still believe that. And I'm sure you've got plenty of Trump supporters on here that'll be irate about such a statement, but if they don't realize that the worst tyranny I've ever seen and witnessed in my life happened under this man's watch, and we all did nothing. We are currently not even allowed to breathe without permission of government.
I know.
It's ridiculous. It is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen in my life, and we and he did nothing but rally the patriots together into one spot and tell them all to stand down. And now matters are worse. The republic is gone, and they're still waiting for Donald Trump to do something.
Oh, yeah, he's coming back, He's going to rise up, Adam. He's going to rise up, He's going to come back, and he's going to be president again. I heard that from a bunch of them. Actually, this weekend I heard that.
So we're going to, I'm sick of that. Yeah, somebody show me any shred of evidence that any of that's true. Any shred. I want real evidence. I don't want no Q statements or not. That's all garbage. But to me, if we are to save this country, whatever's left of it at this point, if we the people do not stand up ourselves, liberty was issued to you by your creator, to you, not to Donald Trump to be issued to you, not to any other politician to be issued to you, not to a militia leader to be issued to you. It was issued to you. And if you won't stand for your liberty, nobody will. That's the thing that we all need to come to. Donald Trump's not coming to our rescue. Neither is the local militia commander, who's really just the glory hound, run around the woods with his guns because that's what he does on the weekend and he thinks it's fun. Okay, because none of them actually want to do the hard work.
Yeah, pretending they're a Navy SEAL, telling everybody they're a Navy SEAL or Green Beret, right?
Right. Presuming, we're all going to make bushcraft huts in the woods and drones aren't going to take us out, whatever. So, no, we have to do something that is effective. And my thought has been, okay, redirecting energies away from these militias because they're not interested in actually going forward and doing anything useful. Getting communities together of actual like-minded people who are worried about this, and county by county in every state, we need to take our county governments back, because who's the actual lawful peacekeeper but your sheriff, right? Because the corporation police departments, they're not lawful. They're legal. They're not lawful. They're corporation. They serve the bureaucrats. The only lawful peacekeeper is your sheriff. Your sheriffs right now aren't standing in their oath, and they're not taking out those who commit treason and declare war on the people. That's what they're supposed to do, and they're not. We need to be taking our counties back, county by county. And I'm not talking about these stupid sanctuary movements. No, sanctuary means we're asking permission to keep what is already ours. Not asking permission. No, we're talking.
Wow, you answered my question right there. Adam, you just answered my question right there, because I brought that up, sanctuary, actually. And I was talking to a gentleman earlier. Hopefully he's on the call tonight. Press the number 1 if he's there, but you have to press 1 on the keypad to get connected. But, I was talking to somebody about that, starting at the county. But go ahead, Adam. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to let you know I was talking about that, right?
Oh, no,
it's like amazing.
Well, it's got to be a ground-up grassroots movement, something that is beyond the reach of corporation, their hands, to stop something from the top down. Donald Trump's movement was easy to stop, especially if it was meant to be stopped. That's what I want people to start thinking about, was this whole ruse about Donald Trump and MAGA and everything that came behind it and the Patriot movement behind it. Every message that you ever heard coming out of that movement was just sit down and wait. Good things are going to happen. Just wait. Good things are going to happen. That's the message. That was the common theme. No matter what the message was, the common theme was don't do anything.
The Q thing. Remember the Q thing, too, also. Remember the Q thing was giving us tidbits and inside information. This was going to happen. The emergency broadcast is going to come out. And remember, Patriots, get ready. Get ready. It's go time. Remember that one?
Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Don't do anything, but get ready. Exactly. So the common theme of every message I heard out of that movement, whether it was from QAnon or from Trump himself or any level, was that something was going to happen. We're going to drain the swamp. We're going to do all these promises that were made, and none of them were delivered in 4 years. Nobody can show me a shred of evidence that anything towards liberty or freedom was done. No criminals went to prison. No, none of it. So at the county level, we need to be putting together groups of people. We, the people, run this thing. We, the people, can affect our counties first. If we, the people, grew our own patriot groups, call it a militia. I don't care what you call it, okay? It's we, the people, pulling together in your counties, removing the corruption from your county, because I guarantee you your county government's just as bad as the federal level, as far as they use the powers given them, invested in them to milk your county. Get that sheriff back in line where he's not following his oath. If he won't do what is necessary, you remove him and get a sheriff in that will follow his oath. Those are things that you can actually affect. You as individuals, it doesn't take that many of you. It doesn't take an entire nation full of people to change things in your county. County by county, there's some stuff going on in Indiana. I don't know how I end up wrapped up in Indiana business all the time, but there is a movement to this effect that you are listening to this kind of message and trying to pull together some stuff like this. So once you, and then there's always, well, what do we do about the state? Well, once you have your outlying counties, the city populations in the capital cities of this nation are generally parasitic. They live off the backs of those that live in the outlying counties. The counties just stop cooperating with the state until the state conforms. You lay siege. It's simple. Yeah. It's simple. It could be so simple. We, the people, can take this country back. We, the majority of people don't want violence. The majority of people want a lawful government. The majority of people don't want government telling them what to do at every breath when they turn around. They don't want the Nazi mask mandates that has turned everyone into a Nazi. Okay? Your local business owner has now become a Nazi because the health department is telling them to, or they'll pull their license, which is permission to do what is lawful, mind you. You never needed their permission to operate a business.
Well, speaking of that, Adam, but what do you think about the national socialist movement, like, for instance, something like that, as far as effect? Because what we have now, the constitutional republic that we have, what we're supposed to have, is gone. It's dead. It's completely out of there. And I see the callers there pressing one. I'll get to you. Just be patient, please. I'll bring you in on the conversation. What do you think about that aspect, that type of party getting involved in the system of government that we have with the two-party system right now that's a monopoly?
The Nationalist Party, National Socialist Party, or any talk like that is treason, because we are a guaranteed form of government. We are guaranteed a republic. So to speak of anything else is to attempt to overthrow the government. There's no peaceful movement in that. You can't make that a peaceful movement, and you can't vote your way into such. So either you are calling for the overthrow of the legitimate government of these United States, or you are with it. That's the only option you have. We're guaranteed a republic.
No, I was suggesting more along the lines of another party, not overthrowing the government, but another party out there on the ballot,
Well, there's parties. The two-party ballot system is the biggest infringement on free speech. That's the free speech argument we ought to be having in this country, is the ballot system. I've worked in independent campaigns. You can't get on the ballot as an independent because the Republican and Democrat parties enforce their monopoly on the system. And then, some of the easiest ways to get rid of that would be to remove the parties off the ballot to begin with. We elect people, not parties. So if you don't know who you're going in to vote for, you're just screwed. You can't. The whole voting party line thing is ridiculous. So that shouldn't even be a thing anyway. But any requirement for any one candidate on the ballot should be the exact same requirement for all candidates on the ballot. And why Republicans and Democrats think they get a pass on that, the only reason they do that is because they're the ones currently holding office and they think they get to make the rules of the game. So, no, the United States is not a two-party system. The United States is a monopolized government by two parties. Those are two totally different things. And it's enforced by illegal policies, unlawful policies, legal, I should say, but unlawful policies of the corporations who monopolize the system, these private parties. So making new parties is, that's all good and well. I'm for that. I generally ascribe to the Libertarian or Constitution Party myself. I'll support candidates for any third party. Realistically, under the current system, they'll never get anywhere because the way the election laws are set up, they're set up in favor of enforcing a two-party system, which is really only one party. And we see that in the evidence of how we move. So in electing Donald Trump, who was supposed to be the non-elitist Republican, the most freedom-loving person that we could have ever elected, we are now under the largest tyranny I couldn't have even imagined that we would be.
Well, you're right, Adam.
Right.
You're absolutely right. There's anger out there amongst the people, and sad to say this, but we need to capitalize on that motivation. Adam, I'm gonna connect another individual with us on the phone here. He's probably gonna coincide with what your thoughts, probably. But 518, go ahead. You can join in on the conversation. Sorry to make you wake there. Anybody else pressing number one?
Hey, don't.
I see a bunch of people. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's only Eric from upstate New York, Mr. Gibson. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, brother. Thanks for calling in tonight. Thanks.
Yeah, man, just calling in to support you. I'm listening to the gentleman. I'm continue, sir. I'm just listening to what you got to say. You're on a roll, so go ahead.
Well, this whole monopolizing of the system is what has enabled them to corrupt and utterly usurp by, first of all, the continuous speak about we are a democracy. You know what? That's treason too. We are not a democracy. You cannot elect. The whole idea that two wolves and a sheep can vote about what's for dinner, that's a common joke. But that's exactly what we have right now, is democracy is devouring the republic. And we believe that we can vote our rights away. We now believe that you don't have the right to breathe your own clean air minus the carbon dioxide you emit and the bacteria from your nose and mouth. You have to wear a mask and injure yourself because the greater good of your neighbor who might get a disease that nobody can prove that they can get a disease, and whether or not that disease even exists or not is subject to debate. The self-evident truths are being replaced by the things that people are writing on paper, and the republic and free will are being removed. You are not allowed to think or speak unless it is approved by the government, because hate speech is now a thing. Free speech is not hate speech. Those are two totally different things, and we get to decide what's hate speech at any given moment on any given day. It's Orwellian in nature. It's almost like Orwell's 1984. For anyone who hasn't read it, I highly recommend that. I read that as a 8th grader. It was one of the things I would really thank one of my teachers for. But it's
Adam,
like
the county level, Adam, at the county level, that was tried with the Republic, the Restore America plan, the Guardians of the Free Republics. They tried that, where they instituted the grand juries.
Yes, they were trying to replace the existing government, which would technically, by their definition, by the corporation definition, they were trying to replace the government and stand in. Instead of assuming the office, they were trying to possess the office. And every word in legally means something, and I get where they were going with that. The problem with that is we, the people of this majority of the population, don't understand where they were going with that, and they don't know how to get behind such a thing because the concepts aren't there. So going to the corporation at your county level, your county is generally not incorporated, and in most cases your sheriffs are not incorporated. Those are the few vestigials of government that are still true. However, they are generally still corrupted, your sheriffs and your county commissioners and things of that nature. So you have to create a stop watching football. I'm just going to throw that out there. Stop it. The gladiator games are not going to save the republic, and football, who wins the Super Bowl, really ain't going to matter when you're living in a third world country. So that's right. I am so sick of that. I'm so sick of the people who know every man that has ever played in the NFL on their favorite team since 1962, but they don't know a single section of the Bill of Rights. Well, I never learned that in school. They didn't teach you every man that played football in school either. Yeah. So what's important to you? Is your freedom important to you? Is your liberty important to you? Understand
but Adam,
the history and why we got here?
Yeah, Adam, but they don't understand. Like you said, the people won't understand it. But how do we educate? You said start at the local level. Then you'd have to form assemblies, some sort of assembly or committee out there, and meet with like-minded people and educate yourselves. You know.
So one of the things to research was prior to the formation of the colonies officially, there was something called committees of correspondence in these colonies. Okay, they were the kind of assemblies that we were talking about. There's a history. The founders laid out how this process works. They laid it out for us. It's very simple. This is the history that we need to be learning. Turn off the football and learn this stuff. Turn it off. If you value the lives of your children, if you value your freedom, their liberty, their futures, we've got to turn this shit off and get back to business, get back to what matters. Because we are losing. We are losing big. And there's no time left. That's why I'm done fooling around with these militia guys that believe they're soldiers in the woods. I'm done. If we're not going to get serious and go on the offense, we're talking about these bills on the federal level that's going to outlaw everything and create a gun registry and all of that. Are we going to wait? The response of most people is, you know what, I'm going to go in my backyard and bury my guns. Really? Because it's too late then. Too late, if that's your answer. You have already capitulated and surrendered. You should be on the offense. We should, you know what, you do not go to your county and create a sanctuary, because you know what, that can be revoked immediately at any time. That's assuming that you have your permission to keep your guns based on what the county thinks. We never asked for their permission. You know what you need to do? You need to go to your county and say, this county of whatever, nullify all federal laws with prejudice and assign our sheriff to arrest anyone who tries to enforce these laws that encroach upon the rights of the people. That's what you need. Active. Not defensive, active. We no longer recognize it. We don't recognize any state laws that do the same in this county. You know what? That government, that local government, is the closest representation you have. That is the only government you have access to. If we, the people, the 80% of this country that wanted to keep our liberties, would stop focusing on the king and start focusing on where we are in our local communities, we might get something done.
Well, you're absolutely correct. Basically, the Constitutional Act, Article 5, state suffrage, the power of the state legislators to give binding commands to their U.S. senators. The number 2 target was the 10th, the states that were not delegated to the federal government. In other words, the convention of the states is intended, okay, that we'd have to get together eventually on a state level, but we have to start first. What you're saying is with our sheriffs and counties first before we can even go that level, and then go to a national or a federal level to usurp the corporation. Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yes. And if you take it, the founding document, which is the Declaration of Independence, the founding document, we the people, in the founding document, those rights, those unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness were given to the individual, not even the state. Okay? Powers not given to the federal are reserved for the state and the people. Okay? But even the people are the most powerful part of this, because it says very specifically, government only exists by the consent of the people. That is the only legitimate existence for government. And to the end where government encroaches upon the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness of those people, it is their right to abolish such government, right? That's in the Declaration.
Yeah, that's
they
correct.
outline this.
Yeah. But the only problem I have, Adam, is that is when you start signing legal documents and you start signing your legal name and like they do, and you say you dissolve your contracts because they get you binded by contracts. They're not going to honor those signatures. The corporation. They're going to.
Here's the thing: those contracts are void. Those contracts are void. First of all of those contracts, did you have full disclosure? Who's the beneficiary of those contracts? A contract that only has one beneficiary is void. A contract that has undeclared clauses is void. You can't sign a contract like these contracts you sign with a company that says, okay, these are all of the things in the contract that you have to agree to, and then you also agreed to any changes we ever make in the future no matter what. That is a void contract. You can't do that. You can't make an open-ended contract. Not lawful. You only believe it's lawful because they told you it was. Those are not lawful contracts.
I was on another podcast, Adam. Well, Adam, I was on another podcast and I was talking about this, the concept, the Republic and everything, and the proclamation where it was recognized by the World Court and everything. I mean, the Hague, and how talking exactly what you're talking about is that we have to restore the original Constitution and our Republic. And immediately, a couple callers made some good points. They were like, the consensus is against us, where the numbers are draining us. Is that there's no way we're going to ever appeal to the minority or majority because we're going to be consumed by the majority of bubbleheads out there, like these AOCs and Bidens that are now in control. There's no way. The only way is to go back to yourself and your race, maybe. It's just get back to you. I mean, because what do? I mean, we're in trouble. Let's put it that way. We're in big trouble. People don't realize that.
The problem in the people you're talking about, and I'm familiar with them, and I've dealt with all sorts. You have an idea who I've been talking to.
Yes.
People who want to correct their status with sovereignty movements and all of that crap, they are all trying to fight paper with paper, okay? And you can't do that because they'll just make more paper. There's an endless supply of bureaucrats that can make up crap in corporation government, and they will. And at some level of this, when you're trying to get a corporation public servant to acknowledge your existence as a man or a woman, you're still asking their permission and their acknowledgement. We, the people, don't need their permission. Okay? We don't need their permission to stand as a man or a woman in lawful. What we don't understand are the terms of the Republic are given us. Those terms, the founders called those things self-evident. Or what are self-evident? What is not self-evident are the legalese BS that people create on paper. The lawyers, the Bar Association, creates these clouded legalese terms and contracts, undisclosed contracts, agents and agencies, all this fiction that they bury the evident truth under. A man or a woman can stand in a court, even if it's just an administrative court that isn't a real court, it's just a corporate entity, You can stand in a court on the record as a man or a woman and just simply refuse the fiction. You can do that.
Yeah, but then they electrocute you and drag you down and throw you in a concrete box, and you're stuck there for 90 days. You know what I mean?
Absolutely not true. That's not true, because you're on the record. They won't, in most cases, they won't refute you in most cases, because they have to admit at some point some part of their fraud or their fiction. So they'll just choose not to deal with it. You can't get a judge, a quote-unquote judge, which is just an administrative magistrate of the corporation in 95% of cases, because there are no Article III courts hardly at all except state Supreme Courts. You can't get them on the record to admit how they come up with certain fictions. You can't get them to define money in a court. They tell you, they fine you so many dollars. Tell them to define $1. Whose proper remedy? How do I remedy to you? Because, quote, $1 defined by our Constitution is an amount of gold or silver. Are they going to admit in a court that their dollar that they are asking for is not real money?
Well, let me read. Well, let me throw this at you then, real quick. Counter-revolution. Let's focus on the people to initiate a reversal, a counter-revolution. The U.S. Supreme Court has said an unconstitutional act is not a law. Norton versus Shelby County. So in other words, we owe no obedience to unconstitutional acts, right? The states
you
created.
Also have Marbury versus Madison, but yes.
Yeah, somebody's got some background noise there. I think that's my new caller there. Just got to watch your background noise. I'll mute them real quick there. But, okay, let me get back to what I was saying there. All right, so in law, by reestablishing our state's constitutional violations, now have an injured party, a legal foundation on which to mount a peaceful resistance to reconstruction and its wide-reaching efforts. Therefore, it is our right and duty to reclaim our state citizenship and reestablish our lawful state constitution. Individuals on the front lines would begin removing themselves personally from things which are required or restricted of U.S. citizens, but are not required or restricted under the laws.
Here's the thing. You are asking for them to acknowledge something that is already true. There is no U.S. citizen that's a fiction of the Corporation of the United States of Washington, D.C. That is a fictitious character. Washington, D.C. is a fictitious person. In the United States of Washington, D.C. is a fictitious person on paper, under the laws of Rome, the Vatican, Treaty of Verona, all that garbage. So what you stand in is the truth. You are a state national. You are the man or the woman. As a state national, that is truth. You don't need their acknowledgement. You're not talking about a restoration. You stand in it. That's where we're mistaken. You don't need to restore such a thing. That is the truth already. They've hidden it. They bury it. They bury it under corporate jargon and garbage and make people forget those things. But it's still true.
Okay, well, basically what he's saying here is the foundation. Well, what he's saying here, this gentleman's saying is that in Liberty, he's saying, in this counter-revolution, the goal is to reclaim lawful states, body politics, which were annulled by the Second American Revolution, also known as the Reconstruction Act. To put it simply, it's just a matter of people obeying the law. I am thoroughly convinced that the foundational legal argument we have is sound, and thus far, the de facto states and their courts have refused to respond to these constitutional violations. Just like you said, Adam, they refuse to respond to them. They ignore it. They ignore these people.
Yes.
Even though they have the lawful standing.
And when they come in to violate those with their codes and statutes, and you stand in law, they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to deal with a person that, first of all, refuses an attorney. If you refuse an attorney, the attorney doesn't work for you. They work for the court. You're declaring yourself incompetent, and you are accepting representation by a person who is meant to expedite a process for a person who is incapable of speaking for themselves. You are declared incompetent. That is what you're being done. So they, first of all, they try really hard to first make you get an attorney. If you won't get one, then they try to declare you incompetent. They say you're insane, or they declare you a sovereign citizen movement and yada, 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 to which they have no evidence of. We've gone through these games in these courts, and I've seen this played out on several occasions.
Well, you're labeled a wet job.
You're
labeled a nut job, Adam, and then they ignore you,
right. They say you're one of them crazy sovereign citizen people. Oh, first of all, Judge, are you the prosecutor? Are you now serving as the prosecutor? Secondly, are you coloring me? Are you trying to color me before this court? You appear to have bias. And there's any number of things that you can bring up that is truth and lawful. Most of the time the prosecuting attorney and the judge will have unduly familiar situations, and if you're dealing with a police matter, most certainly there's unduly familiar relationships going on. Secondly, whatever they are choosing to incriminate you for under quasi-criminalization, they don't have sufficient witnesses for lawfully. You have to have two unbiased witnesses to be convicted of a crime. An agent who is the police officer who works for the same agency that the agent who is acting as judge and the agent who is acting as prosecutor for the state, all acting in consort to deprive you of your property and harm you, where there was most cases no harm committed to another person. No other person.
But Adam, I tried this. I went against them, Adam. You know what happened? I might have a friend on the line tonight. He had to get me out of jail on this. This was years ago. They had me for a seatbelt ticket, and we both got one. I went in front of the lady. I said, "Listen, what are you talking about, cop a plea?" I said, "I'm taking this to trial. I want a trial. I want a jury trial." Well, they gave me a jury trial, all right. They pulled me over with 12 sheriffs with the dogs, dragged me off to jail. And to get to, I mean, they didn't hold me that long, but they said, they kicked me out of there and get out of there, and ended up paying $1,500 in fines. You know what I mean?
Right. I get it. And they assaulted you, and that's where you have a claim, and you can go back and sue them. And you sue the individuals, not the office. And that's another thing. There's no detriment to the individuals when they commit these crimes.
But Adam, most people would just say, why not just pay the darn ticket, and why do this? Why stand up for yourself? Why bother? I don't have time. I got to go to work 80 hours a week. I got a mortgage payment. I got a car payment to make. I got a family to feed. You see how they get us? The Federal Reserve gets us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the more we make, the more fines they come up with, so they can come and steal more of our property and
our labor.
Ever notice
that? You ever notice that? Oh, yeah. The more codes and statutes they come up with for our better good, more law.
For your safety, I'm going to turn my lights on, threaten your life if you don't stop so that I can extort money out of you for your safety. Yeah, okay. I feel
it's
safe.
Crazy.
On a busy freeway where we could both die because some semi-truck's not paying attention and you've got me stopped on the side of the road so you can extort me. Let's not pretend.
Well, Adam, I was trying to run for North Carolina House of Representatives. You know that last year. But so this year I'm doing it early. I'm going to file my notice for candidacy. I'm going to run under the Constitutional Party, of course, because they are a recognized party here in North Carolina. And I do have the required amount of signatures. But the thing of it is that what I'm trying to say is that, just the simple thing of setting up a GoFundMe page. They've convoluted that thing so twisted now that, I chewed the lady out. They were like, we don't have a telephone number you can call for customer service. I said, that'll be the first thing I sponsor when I get, is that you have to have a phone number because it's all, you can't get a hold of anybody. You call PayPal, you call eBay, you can't get a hold of anybody. It's all convoluted, twisted, spinning around in circle nonsense. And that's what we're in right now. But, it's insane. It's insane. And people are angry, Adam. They're angry. They're more angrier than you are. People are saying, wear a mask. You can't walk into the grocery store anymore without them telling you got to put on a mask. It's crazy. It's insanity. I don't need to, and then people are shunning away from you. They're like crunging in a corner, hiding from you because you're not wearing a mask. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah. And we've seen no evidence whatsoever that this was going to kill the entire population. In fact, this whole thing now if you think about it, where they're saying, oh, now you got to wear 2 masks because one wasn't enough, you know what? You just admitted that the one mask never worked. Just admitted it. And whatever. It's ridiculous how stupid this whole argument has gotten.
It's total insanity. That the fact of the matter is that but the solutions that you offered there is that getting together locally. But you see, I don't know if my friend there from Florida is on the line. He went with me to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and we formed these committees. And what happens is, Adam, is everybody wants to grandstand and they want to take control, and man always wants more. And the thing of it is greed then gets involved, and you lose the foundation of what you originally started upon. You know what I mean? And it broke and it broke away. It just broke away. It's like the militia movement. It faded away. The republic is dead. You can't get 10 people to meet at Burger King for coffee on time, and we're talking about changing an entire county or state.
That's absolutely true, and that's the reason I think if you can't get people together to operate on the smallest level, we have no chance of changing what goes on in the Beltway. None.
Yeah.
And so we need to reduce this to the lowest common denominator. We have to.
Yeah.
I don't see any other way to do this at this point, because that is the only thing you can directly affect. You can directly affect your neighbors. You can directly affect your county commissioners. It's not hard to get on as a county commissioner, get elected. You can, whatever you need to do, you've got to change your county, because your county sheriff is actually the most powerful law enforcement in the land. He's the only one that is not owned by a bureaucrat, not the FBI, not the CIA, not the PDs of your local towns. No, the sheriff.
Well, I think what was trying to be explained to me in this movement. I remember I was on the Zoom call with a lot of people and Facebook groups and everything about this movement of this governing thing where it's we have to start, because right now, like you said, the militia movement's not working. The republic's dead in the water. I think one person was telling me that the republic, and I bought into the republic because the de jure and de facto and everything, and you know that, Adam. I knew all of them. I was a part of the Restore America plan and everything, and a big voice out there. And the militia, too, years prior to that. And where did it get us? Nowhere at all, I mean, look, like you said, it's gotten us nowhere. The only hope we have is to get back, like you said, to the sheriff, to form these committees. And you can't get people, though, together. It's just like, what can you entice people to say, hey, we've got to do something? Where's your voices at? Like I said, Adam, I was on the phone with an Army National Guard the other night on a podcast. Everybody's telling me, yeah, they were doing this, they were doing that. And nobody pressed one. Nobody they were taking questions. They were going to answer your questions, but everybody got scared. They put their tail between their legs. It's like wearing a mask. They just do it. They go along to get along to go along. And it's sad. Yeah. It's really sad. I just don't know what inspiration you can give the people out there to participate in their local communities or to form something, to come together and band together as a people. And save us.
They are too interested in not usurping their current life. Everybody feels like they have something to lose, so they don't want to lose it now. The problem is they don't understand you're going to lose it anyway. That's what they don't get. And by the time you decide that, oh, crap, I'm about to lose it all, it's too late, because you're going to be by yourself facing an army. Every person is going to be facing the army alone. That's what they want. And that's what they're going to get. When they go door knocking and they start collecting the outlawed guns, firearms, and ammunition and all of that crap, when they start doing that, is there going to be a firefight at every house? Everyone's going to stand for their rights? No. 75%.
Hey, Sarah, how you doing, Sarah? I think this is Sarah from Minnesota.
Hey, hi, guys.
How you doing?
Oh, hello.
Hello.
I know that voice.
I think you're going to be living in a Hunger Games society soon. Do something or get out, because Hunger Games society is coming up. Wouldn't that be sweet? I can't wait.
Yeah. We got to do something. But how's everything going out there in Omar land in Minnesota there? How the hell did she get reelected, huh?
I don't know. It's cold. That's all I know. I don't know. I didn't vote for anybody this year. I didn't vote. I can't do it anymore. the tyranny that's going on. What about the Michigan? What about the governor of Michigan? You guys, she literally stopped the Republicans from coming in to vote on the day of which day was it? The day of voting.
The election day.
Yeah, the election day. She literally stopped the Republicans from coming into the state capitol. She stopped them.
But there was no fraud, Sarah. There was no fraud.
Challenging that needed to happen in the state, and nobody in the state stood the challenge. That's the problem. We waited for Donald Trump on a federal level to sue the state. That was the wrong place to have the battle. The people who were injured, which are we the people of the state of Michigan, should have brought that forward, and they did not. That's the mistake that was made.
That BITCH can do that. Well, we got 6 people sitting in federal holding that didn't even get indicted till like 2 weeks ago, and they've been there since October, when they wanted to arrest her when she deserves to be arrested. Conspiracy my ass.
Yeah, but how do you do it, Sarah? How do you do it? How do you go about doing it?
Who filed the claim of harm? Who filed a claim that they were harmed by Governor Whitmer or these election boards or these election officials? Nobody filed a claim. The only person that filed a claim was Donald Trump on a federal level. He's not a resident of Michigan. This is where this all went wrong. If you want an election to be fair in your state, when you're in that state, you file a claim against the state that harmed you. Now, I would say that it could be argued that what went on in Michigan under Governor Whitmer's watch harmed all.
Yeah.
So I don't see why all the people, we the people of the United States, couldn't file a claim against what happened in Michigan, because they pretty much nullified everybody's vote, right? And it wasn't just Michigan, but using that as an example. But the people.
So is it too late? Is it too late? Is it too late now, Adam, to file? Or is it over? Is it?
No.
You can go.
What is the statute of limitations? What is the statute of limitations on an injury or a claim?
Well,
no, it's
fraud.
not
usually 2 to 4 years.
Well, it's fraud.
Whatever it is. Are we still actively being harmed? You are still today, right now, is the statute of limitations right now? We have an unduly elected official. You are actively being harmed by this official.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you're right.
You're
absolutely right.
What's
that, Sarah?
I said we need a template to get out to people, so it makes it a little bit simpler, because you hate to have anybody have to think about this, because I can't even think about it some days. But we get a template out to people. People could put it in then and make a complaint.
Well, that's the thing, Adam. That's the thing, Adam and Sarah, is that people don't know how to do a lot of this stuff. They got great ideas. They got great voices. I was talking to somebody earlier. He was on the call here. I think he's still on the call right now, actually. They're inspired. They're concerned. They're angry what's going on in America, but they don't know how to do this. They don't know how to formulate things,
And paperwork's not all that easy.
I was going to say it's because the people all believe that the only people who can bring forward a actual argument or a claim is some kind of law official or an attorney. They don't understand that the power originally rests with you as the individual. An attorney has no power in and of himself other than you hire him to represent you and speak as you. The power always rested in you.
Yep.
And
so you're your own government. You're your own government.
Right. We don't need the attorneys. We don't need to wait for an attorney to say, okay, I think you have a valid claim. That's not what we need. We don't need the attorney's permission either. We don't even need their assessment of the situation.
But you see, Adam, too, there's a divide. You're absolutely right, but there's a divide amongst the people in America. You have, like last night, I had a show with all the Christians around America, the Christian church, the churches and everything. And then we've got the Patriot movement. Then we've got people like you that are concerned, that are smart, knowledgeable people that are concerned and angry as hell what's going on. And then we have other people of other organizations. And nobody can come together and work together because everyone has to do the grandstandiosis thing of it's me and well, you're not I don't like your message. I don't like what you said. You're offending me. Or this, I'm not part of that because I got a job to do. I'll lose my job. And that's the thing. The founders sacrificed everything they had, their lives, their families, their fortunes, to do what? To give us what we have here today that we're pissing away. So what do I mean, it's insane. I just don't know how else to motivate people, or what you said tonight, Adam, how to motivate the people. I just don't, or Sarah, I don't know. I know you're out there talking to people constantly. You're out there being a busybody, talking to everybody and trying to get information and learn and know about, your problems and everyone else's problems and help people. And you don't have time. And the thing of it is how do we do this? How do we get together?
The founders sacrificed all because they understood that the cause was larger than themselves and that they literally did have everything to lose. They did. So in the interest of their posterity, their children or whatever, the population of the colonies at large, for everyone's sake, they sacrificed and they did what was necessary. We don't have that air in this country right now because everyone believes that their own personal property that they have to lose is more important than anything anyone else loses. There's no understanding that what your neighbor stands to lose, you also stand to lose. Anything that happens to a man or a woman in court to one person can happen to you. Yep. And that's the part we're disconnecting. That's where we all disconnect. So when one person is slighted and wronged by the state and harmed by them, you can also be harmed by that same process. And they won't stand for that. That's not something that they're willing to take on because, I don't want to put myself under that crosshair. And I don't disagree with that. But if everyone decided we're not going to have that, the state has to answer because the state is only as strong as the people willing to enforce their codes and statutes.
Yep. Now, you said something about Donald Trump. Everybody was waiting, because I hear that too. I talk to my friends and everything, and they're not here tonight because they talk. I got one guy. He thinks Donald Trump's gonna, like I said, he's gonna rise. Come running down from the hills. With like Christ or something returned, and he's gonna be take back the White House. Trump's done, folks. Trump's not president no more. Maybe in 3-4 years he'll run again. I doubt it, but he's got he's not. Listen. That's why I say the Republic's dead, because we're not going to get another U.S. sitting president like him ever again. He was. You got to admit, he was our best shot, right? Out of everybody through our lifetime that we've had. Who else? What, Reagan? Come on, who else?
I will say he spoke a good game, but look at the results. That's what I would suggest. Look at the results. He spoke a good game. He offered and promised, and what you got was the exact opposite. You stood down and allowed the exact opposite to happen. George W. Bush, God love him, he was a great conservative, whatever, and I argued all about that for years after he was unelected, But he gave us the Patriot Act, which declared every U.S. citizen a terrorist.
Yep. The Patriot Act goes along with the Nazis' Constitution of the 1940s, the late 1940s. It's pretty much word for word.
Really? So basically, So really, I didn't know that actually. So it's pretty much the same thing as the Hitler's words and everything through the Third Reich. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
The Patriot Act.
Really?
The Patriot Act is how the Patriot Act signed by George W. Bush after 9/11 is exactly how the National Security Agency is now declaring all patriots a terrorist. They're doing that under George W. Bush.
So what are we going to see, Adam? What do you think? What are we going to see in the future here as far as what's going to happen with the Biden and Kamala Harris foundation? What are we facing here as Americans?
War. They've declared war on the Republic. They're declaring war on the people. That's what that NSA really, if you read that, National Security Agency has stated in some really generic form, anti-government people are now considered domestic terrorists. They're creating a whole new domestic terrorist wing just to deal with that.
Oh, they're already following me around. I'm going to tell you that right now. I've been kicked off Facebook 6 times already.
They've declared war. How are we going to handle it? Are we going to wait for another president in 2024? What's the answer here?
I don't know.
We're not going to get a fair election. We're not going. You have to take it to the state. We have to insist that the state serve the people, or we're done. We're done. It's over.
Yeah.
And start at the county level, the local level first, and work your way up, right?
Your county runs the local election board. Yes.
Yeah.
Your county runs the election board. You want them to run a fair election in Detroit, Michigan? The county commissioners make that happen.
Wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Election, because you're right. It starts because how can we have any type of constitutional republic or any type of system of government and elect people that we want in to represent our views if it's rigged, if they're shipping busloads of illegal immigrants in to vote, in a district they don't even live in.
Correct. That is correct, sir.
Wow, that's insane. I mean, that's insane. So we got to start locally, folks. That's the only answer. Because Adam, the message that you brought earlier was very powerful, where you said, do you care at all about your family? Do you want to see them go through this? I mean, and then we can get into the religious aspect of like we did last night with God and everything. We have to have some sort of spiritual understanding between us as a people, because America's that great melting pot. Of everyone crammed together in one big digress thing that's attacking and feeding on each other. So we have to have a foundation to stand upon. The world's. I mean, this is disorder creating a new world order, a one world system. This is a lot of disorder. I've studied the New World Order for years, and I can't even get my mind grasped totally fully on this. I'm looking under a rock for Freemasons. You know what I mean?
I would like to put this forward about the church in particular, because that was mentioned about the gatherings of various groups. Your current church is a 501c3 corporation licensed by the U.S. government, in particular by the IRS. That makes your pastors agents of the government, whether they're aware of it or not. But the primary teaching of most churches, Protestant in particular, in this country today is that all governments are instituted by God under the book of Romans, and therefore you should be obedient. And there's no coincidence that is the general message of the church if you go back and you understand the history of the Black Robe Regiment and the rebellion led by the Protestant church of the time against the crown, who actually coined the rebellion, the Protestant rebellion, at the time.
So what are they supposed to do, these pastors, Adam? So what are they supposed to do? If everyone said we're not paying our taxes, and then they all get arrested, you know what I mean? What do they do?
No. The 501c3 corporation prevents the church from speaking out on political issues, and particularly political candidates, or they get their tax status revoked. It's a license to operate as a church. They are literally commissioned by the government. So the strings attached to that are, if you have a corrupt county commissioner, if you have a corrupt state representative or whatever, the church is not allowed to speak on the issue. Okay, they're not allowed to by agreement with the IRS. So they are being neutered, but also in return, the general teaching of the church is that the government is instituted by God, Romans. All governments are instituted by God, therefore we are to obey them. But if you look throughout history, first of all, obeying government sometimes gets the entire body politic killed. The whole of Israel was punished for following the king into orders that he was given by God and failed to pursue, where he was told not to loot the nation that they were attacking, and he did so anyway, and everyone got punished for following the king. Secondly, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would certainly have not followed the orders of the government when they were told to worship the statue of the sitting king at that time, and were thrown into the fire for their rebellion, for their refusal to do so. So you are only obligated to follow such lawful government that was commissioned by people to preserve those rights that are spoke of in the Declaration of Independence. That was the literal understanding of the day when the revolution was formed in 1776, that the king had no divine right to rule. His power to rule only existed by the consent of those he governed, and that that consent could only legitimately be offered as long as the king preserves the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, those rights that are unalienable, given by God, not by men on earth, and that are self-evident within the creation itself. Does a rabbit have to consult and get a license from other rabbits to go out and gather for its family?
No, of course not.
Now, does it risk going out and being eaten by a wolf while it does so? Absolutely.
Yes.
But that's the risk it takes. And it is
that's a good point. That's a good point.
It is not the government. It is not the position of government to save you from the wolf, nor is it the government's position to feed you. At neither end of that is that the government's responsibility. The body politic is not responsible for those things. That is self-evident truth of the creation. You are free to go do that and assume any risk you need to in the process of doing so in the pursuit of your life, liberty, or happiness.
Well, I guess you make a good point there. I mean, I don't see who can argue with that. Anybody wants to join in on the conversation? I know we got Sarah here from Minnesota. Thank you, Sarah, for your. Well, Sarah, Adam obviously has been speaking here, and then I got my friend here from 518 from New York, giving us some information and intel, actually, basically on how we got to save our republic, because our republic's dead. And does anyone else have any ideas out there? You got to speak. Take advantage of these platforms now, because one day they're going to be gone, and it's going to be soon, actually. I mean, you saw that, right, Adam and Sarah? I mean, look what they shut the United States president was banned from social media. If that don't wake you up, I don't know what will. It sure as hell sat wrong with me, And then they kicked me right off too, right after that. But I mean,
what was amazing about that particular set of events was that during the Obama era, there were politicians, particularly on the conservative side, that were told they couldn't ban certain rabble-razzlers from their Facebook and Twitter accounts because that was their right to petition.
Well, you know what? That's the whole thing. They publicly trade these Twitters and Facebooks. They receive money, or they give money to special interests. Therefore, I mean, they should be obeying somewhat of the Constitution. I mean, they should not be able to violate it's our First Amendment right to express ourselves. I was kicked off of Facebook for putting up a 3%er flag. All right, that I didn't even make. It was a YouTube video that I didn't even create. I was kicked off of Facebook for 30 days because of that alone. And then, of course, because of my Blog Talk show, they said I was a violent show. I was violent, and I was anti-government. Or anti-social. They said a bunch of things. I took a screenshot of it and sent it to a few people, but they kicked me off for that. Now I've got back on since, after calling them and harassing them and being a needle, sticking them in this, because I'm persistent like that. But but they kicked me off again, and now I'm back on again. I'm waiting to get kicked off again, so it's only a matter of time. But the thing of it is, why am I being, this is censorship at its worst kind. Obviously social media influences the public opinion. And public opinion is influenced to do certain things. We can't have a one-sided view. You talk about Nazism. That's not. We all say the Nazis. Well, I say they're the Nazis. They ain't so bad then. What the hell's going on here? It's communist. It's more like communism. That's what it is. Marxism. It's going to be their way or the highway. And you try calling these people, you don't get it. You can't get a hold of anybody. So what's going to happen when we have that one world government? Who are you going to call? Who's your local representative? Who's going to represent your views? Nobody, right? I mean, I think the local level is a good point
there. So, real quick, if you walk into Walmart and they, without a mask, they jump your crap real quick. You got to have a mask, right? We're a private company. We can do what we want. We can choose who we serve, yada, yada, yada. You hear that garbage all the time. However, they are operating in the interest of the public by license, correct?
Yep.
They are licensed to operate in the state of. Who is the state of? Who is the license being issued by? They are being licensed by those who operate in the public, for the public. They are my representatives, right? In theory.
Yeah.
So they operate by permission from me. They're public to operate and serve public. They are not private. That's not private.
That's right.
So
that was my point. That was my point.
If you're private.
Yeah, that was my point.
And that was one of the things I wanted to bring up as a highlight. When these companies claim, Facebook, we're a private company, we can censor whatever we want. No, you're not. You are licensed by the public to operate in the public, to serve the public. You're a public company. Therefore, you are to abide by the free speech rules that everyone else must abide by.
Yeah, Adam, let me bring on. I got 863. Anyone else who wants? I got Sarah from Minnesota. Of course, you're still there, Sarah. And then I got my friend there from New York, 518. And of course, I got Adam there from Ohio. 863. Go ahead. I think I know who this is, but go ahead. I'm pretty sure I know who it is. Go ahead. I think this is Bert, right?
Yep. Good evening, Joe. Here by request.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. How's it going?
All right. What's on your mind tonight, brother?
Oh, not much. I got your text saying that you were wanting me to call in, so I figured I'd give it a try and see what happens.
Well, they've been coming after me. I've been getting pounded with email after email. I guess that's why I brought it up tonight. Adam kind of disagrees with it a little bit, but he said that they would be how do you say it? If National Socialism, it would be going after, you'd be trying to overthrow the government. If you stand with the NSM, I guess, because I don't introduce yourself, Bert, to the people that are on the call tonight, so this way they know.
Oh, this is Bert Colucci. I'm the commander of the National Socialist Movement. For those of you who don't know what the National Socialist Movement is, it's the largest neo-Nazi organization in America that's operating today with boots on the ground. But to kind of expound on what you said a while ago, Joe, I think we were talking sedition there a little bit, and some attempts to take over the U.S. government is how that would be construed.
Yes, that's correct.
I can tell you that's a load of malarkey, and I'll tell you exactly why that's not true at all, for the simple fact that you have us on the radical right, which we're as legal as you can possibly be, and we are perpetuating legal activism. Our exact opposite, our counterpart, if you will, Antifa, goes out there and burns city down, loots, murders, rapes, whatever they feel like doing on the day. And they're nothing but a bunch of little pencil dicks. But the fact that nobody's standing up to them is a reason why they're getting away with this. Now, when we go out there in the streets, Antifa doesn't dare attack us. And if they do, they better pack a lunch, because we're usually outnumbered thousands to one, and they're still afraid of us. So we absolutely tell people that they should go out there. They should do everything 100%
Hang on, somebody's got some
legal.
background noise. Whoever's got background noise, please let them speak. Go ahead. I've got the mics open. Let me close them. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bert. I apologize for that. Go ahead.
That's okay. I was just wrapping up what I was saying there, and basically that's what we do. We tell everybody to go out there, and it doesn't do any good to have people thrown in jail. And if we were, perpetuating anything that was illegal, we'd be in jail ourselves. So the whole sedition thing goes right out the window, right out of the gate. And law enforcement knows that. They know when we go out in public, they don't have any problems with us. We know more about the laws than they do. I've had to educate some police officers on what the gun laws are when we go to events, because they don't even know their own laws in their own states. So this is the type of stuff we deal with. But you deal with our enemies out there, they're out there just to do whatever they can. They're just angry. They're pissed off. They don't know what they're pissed off about. They just know they are. And they want to go out there and take it on the closest trash can or glass window or Starbucks or whatever they want to do. And they don't pull this crap when we're around. But they absolutely will pull it with Trump-supporting conservatives, because they know for a fact that they're weak. And they're not going to fight back. They're going to call 911 and say, help me. There's Antifa out here and they're attacking us. And what's better? I mean, would you rather be armed legally and be able to deal with the situation yourself and have the cop come out there and do the paperwork when you've handled it? Or would you rather have a cop on the phone? I'd rather have a gun in my hand than a cop on the phone, personally, but that's just us. That's how we operate. So that's all I've got on that, Joe, just to elaborate.
Yeah. Adam. I don't think maybe Adam. I think maybe he got misconstrued a little bit. Adam, you want to speak to that, please? Because obviously he's, Bert's. I know where Bert's coming from. It's probably you guys are new to each other, so it's the first time you guys. He's called in a few times. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, he's definitely new to me, and I'm kind of confused by the social. What part of this is socialist? First of all, that's what I'm wondering.
Now, it's a common question that we get asked a lot, and I could go on a history lesson for probably the rest of the show trying to explain it. To put it simply, I can tell you this much, just to paraphrase it. Socialism and National Socialism are in no way, shape, or form connected. They're no way related. Socialism, what you're referring to is Marxist socialism, is on the radical left, which is one step away from communism. It's the JV leagues for communism. National Socialism is on the radical right, at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So the way I like to put it to where people can understand it is a National Socialist is a Donald Trump supporter, is a conservative who grew up.
Well, I think that was a good answer.
So is National Socialism then government completely removed from your life? Is that what you're
No,
referring
absolutely
to?
not. Just the opposite. We support law enforcement. We support the laws. We're screaming at them that they need to be enforced. And what's happening right now is they're selectively enforcing the laws. We're not for the abolition of the government, not in any way, shape, or form. I'm not even for what a lot of other pro-white nationalist groups, what they call an ethno-state. We don't even believe in, give the black people this section, Latinos this section. I don't even believe in that. Nobody else in the organization does either. We like the Constitution. We like the laws. People just need to start enforcing them, not selectively enforcing them. Right now we've got laws that say it's illegal to come in the country if you are an illegal alien. Nobody's enforcing them. But yet they're worried about what went up in D.C. They've got FBI signs all over the country. I've got them right down here in Florida, my home state, all across the interstates, every digital sign. Why aren't we making those kind of efforts out there to enforce the laws that really are being broken out there? Yes, that was a one-day event. Illegal immigration goes on every day. Nothing's getting done about it, and that's just one example. You guys know as well as I, there are plenty more.
That's a good example, though. That's a good example. Yeah, but, I think what he's trying to get at, Adam, is that he supports what the Constitution. Why is it that why aren't we following the Constitution? Why aren't we obeying it? I mean, because Antifa can go out there and burn down cities, but yet, but they attack Bert though, who's for this country. I mean, it makes no sense. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I just had to put that in there.
Well, the reason I'm asking these questions is because socialism, and Marxist socialism in particular, obviously he pointed that out, Marxist socialism is one step away from communism, which is absolutely true. But to be advocating for socialism that's the only form of socialism that I'm aware of. The reason it is sedition to be speaking of socialism is it's weird to be pro-Constitution and pro-socialism is because Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution guarantees the Republican form of government. And we are a republic. The Constitution is around the idea of a republic, which is the rule of law, not of man, which socialism would insist on the rule of man. And the laws that of this land, the actual law, not the code and statute, but the actual law of the land is not being enforced. I totally agree with that. Instead, we are doing whatever the bean counters want, and that's largely exactly what the problem is in this country. Law enforcement is the jackboots for the bean counters and whoever happens to be in power at the time, whatever king is making the dictates. So I agree with that part. Socialism as a whole, as I have always understood it, is basically giving the power of absolute power to government over pretty much every aspect of your life, both lawfully, legally, and legal and lawful are two totally different things. But lawfully, legally, economically, the whole nine yards, which is what the radical left is trying to implement, this whole great reset garbage. They're openly saying, you won't own anything and you'll actually be happy about it. They're They're not even hiding the fact that they are committing sedition. They are planning to overthrow the republic. Nobody's going to have any property or any rights.
But Adam, let me ask you this question. Because on Bert's side, to stick up for Bert on this, though, we the people, though, can amend the Constitution. And therefore, today, obviously, the republic was lost for a mistake somewhere down the line. So therefore, why not amend it to something like a platform that Bert is trying to promote, where it's more or less basically what the republic really stands for. You know, I mean, he wants freedom. He just wants the rule of law to be implemented. You know.
I don't understand. I don't understand the premise of that. You can't amend the Constitution to say you have to enforce the Constitution. Otherwise, the Constitution was null and void to begin with. You have to stand in the truth that it always laid with the law of the land to begin with, or it never meant anything. So if you're talking about amending the Constitution to give the Constitution the weight it should have always had, then it still ceases to have the weight of anything at all.
Yeah, but we're a changing republic, aren't we? I mean, we're a republic that's growing and changing. The founders, obviously, you know me, Adam. Bert knows that too. I go on his podcast and I spout the Constitution. But we are a changing republic. We're not the founding fathers. We're not those people anymore. It's a different country. You know, so we have to change in a far right way to get back what we all seek is freedom. Because right now we're going to be enslaved by these freaking libtards. Well, you know, I mean, they're going to take away everything. You know.
And I don't disagree with that. What the republic was supposed to be originally, and when you read about the people who lived during those times, was basically, as long as you didn't harm your neighbor, you could live however you want. You know, I don't care that gays want to go over here and do their thing in their house. I don't care that the drug dealer down the street is selling drugs. You know what? You don't want your kid to do drugs? Raise your kid right. I don't care.
You will. When they come kick your door in and they tell you got to be gay also, you're going to have an entirely different attitude towards it.
Right, and that's a different problem. That's the problem I'm having, yes. When someone wants to come and tell me how to live my life, the people...
This is where we stand apart from the Trump supporters. It's an extreme situation, and extreme situations require extreme measures.
So what would be the extreme measure that my neighbor creates a bill in the state of Ohio, that's where I am right now, creates a bill that all people must be gay. What's the answer to that?
Well, it probably won't even get to that point. It doesn't have to. They're already doing that. They're demanding that people accept it. They've already gotten that far. No matter how many ways you slice this, they've already won. The question is what is anybody doing about it? They're already saying, I mean, 25, 30 years ago, it would have been absolutely ridiculous to sit there and say, well, you know, I've got these gay people in my family, and I think they're just the greatest people in the world. They would have been laughed right out. But because the country's taken a shift towards communism, even with Donald Trump, nonetheless, acting as nothing more than sandbags, the country has gone further left, and now this stuff has become socially accepted. It needs to not be socially accepted. People need to stand up and say, we're not going to take this. Now, it starts off saying what you say. Well, I don't care what my neighbor does. As I said, until your neighbor comes and puts a knife to your throat and tells you you need to be gay or else. That's what's happening. That's what Antifa's doing. They're kicking in people's doors. They will come to your home. There's no hiding from this. So the best thing to do in these situations, as I always say, is the first step to fixing any problem is admitting that you have one. And if we can't even admit that we've got a problem with this stuff, then we don't even need to talk any further. We have a serious problem, whether people want to admit it or not. The problem needs to be addressed. Now, my question is, what is everybody going to do about it? The laws already exist against this stuff.
Anybody? Anybody want to jump in there?
I mean, with a large portion of that.
Okay. All right. Well, why do you disagree? I mean, I'm this is an interesting conversation. I'm learning here. I'm getting two viewpoints.
I don't disagree with a large portion.
Oh, you don't disagree? Okay.
I don't disagree with a large portion. Because like I said earlier, we were looking at the greatest tyranny I've ever seen, and it happened under Trump's watch. And I believe that Trump existed only to make patriots stand down and accept what was coming. And that
a friend of mine told me that. A friend of mine told me that, Adam. He actually said they were putting out these messages in support of Trump to stand down, you know? And then look, and now he's out of office, and now look, we're screwed. We're all standing there holding our freaking our you know, whatever, you know, like what the hell happened? You know, what happened? What really happened here?
We've been nicely and peacefully delivered into the hands of communism, absolutely. So, yeah, I believe that was the purpose of the existence of Trump. I believe that was the purpose of George W. Bush. They create this good cop, bad cop show. They've done it probably at least since Reagan. If Reagan wasn't a part of that himself, I debate that. But they're doing the good cop, bad cop thing. So they just create, and Biden will be the one guy worse than Obama or Clinton ever was, right? And then they'll bring in another savior, or they'll bring Trump back as the savior from whatever tyranny is coming, and you'll only ever get the options that they present to you as the other side. And the other side is already colluding with the enemy, no matter which one you elect, because there's only two options. There's only two viable options, which are the ones that they provide for you. So you never get to select anything, ever. The parties are.
So what are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? You offered an answer in the beginning of the podcast. We've got a bunch of new callers on the phone. What do we do? And Bert's got an answer too. What we do about it? And anyone else out there who want to jump in here for the closing of the show here? What do we do? I mean, we can complain all night long. We know what's happened. We got hoodwinked again, didn't we? What do we do about it?
Okay, so let's talk about your run on the Constitution Party. All right, what is the main inhibitor of you actually having a chance to run as a member of the Constitution Party? The election system is set up to where the laws and the game is rigged. You can only play if you are a member of those two parties. And you can only play within one of the parties if you have enough clout or money to play. So it's a pay-to-play game within their system, and that was not the way this was ever intended. They made the rules of the game and set it up so that they have a monopoly over the system. How do we change that? Go back to your counties. You go and you remove corrupt county officials. Those are the lowest level form that you can affect, that you actually have a chance of affecting. You get the sheriffs start arresting those who violate their oaths, which means your sheriff is probably violating his oath because he's not going to want to do it. You get him removed. You have a recall. He's the one law enforcement that you have a direct effect over. If we are really serious about doing this, that's where you start. Then your county election boards, you insist that they have fair elections there, right? You're starting at the county level. If Detroit County, whatever county Detroit is in, if their election board in that county had decided to have a fair election, they could have had one, but they decided not to because they're all corrupt. So if the people in that county want a fair election, they can get it, but they got to stop looking to the king to save them. They can't look to Donald Trump. You've got to do it in your community, one community at a time, and there's more than enough people. 80% of the people want a fair election. I don't believe there are as many liberals as they claim there are. They just blow that number up. They make that up as they go. All these statistics are thrown out there. They're ridiculous. They want us to believe that if you watch TV long enough, 90% of the population believes in the liberal cause and the rest of us are just idiots. No. I saw an article on CNN, if you don't believe in a mask, you're a sociopath. That's the kind of crap they're putting out there, and I don't believe any of that, and I don't believe the vast majority of the population believe that either. Most people are saying they don't want government intruding on every aspect of their lives, and most people feel powerless because they can never get anything changed, and that's because they're always looking to the next election. They're always looking to the highest level of office. They think that everything comes from the federal government when the federal government was never meant to be changing your life in any way, shape, or form. Whoever sat in the White House was never meant to affect your life directly. That was never a thing. That was when they moved the capital from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C., they admit that the federal government basically had no function within the states itself, that it had no effect on the lives of everyday people. And that's the way it was meant to be. So
I'll tell you what, you got me inspired right now. I'll tell you what, I wish I had those National Guardsmen on the phone right now. I'll tell you what. Washington, D.C., the hell with Washington, D.C. But hey,
I'm done with them. You'll never change that. You can't change that until you get your states back. You can't. How do you get your state back? You got to do it county by county, and you got to lay siege to the capital. The capital. These capital cities are all parasites. They're all parasites. They can't survive without the surrounding counties. They're parasitic.
What's that, Bert? Go ahead, Bert.
Stop cooperating.
All this wonderful talk and inspiration, that's all anybody's doing is talking, though. Who's spearheading any of this stuff? Getting the sheriff to do this, getting the politicians to do that, having all these elections, and it doesn't amount to a hill of beans because it isn't happening, because nobody's doing anything, because everything they're doing is too weak. As I said, Donald Trump was a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound, and they just removed the Band-Aid. Now everybody wants to sit around and rely on our constitutional republic to fix this problem, and they're going to look to their right and their left and say, you guys fix this problem. I don't, this is your responsibility, or Detroit, this is your responsibility. Start pointing the finger at yourself saying, it's my responsibility. I sat back. I watched this happen. I did nothing. Now it's time for me to do something. That's what needs to happen.
Hey, amen to that. I mean, I can't argue with that. I'm down. I'm ready.
I don't argue with that. I might argue with what the action is that we need to be advocating, because you can't, if we're talking about advocating for actual war, that bloodbath has great consequences. No, there is a lawful method
every time we get out in the street. Every time we get in the street, we get attacked. The difference is that when Antifa and the communists attack us, we kick their ass. That's the difference.
And I applaud that. They need their ass kicked. I'm good with that. But they held the country hostage, so, yeah, they deserve that, because nobody else will. And I don't disagree with that. These communists that are pulling the brown shirt garbage, but that's exactly what that's what they want. They're inviting. They're calling that out. They want the chaos so that the people, if you look at the rise of the Nazis in actual Germany during the 1930s, what they did was they had their battle in the streets between the red shirts and the communists, or the brown shirts and the communists, and they created such chaos that eventually the people lost faith in the actual government, the elected government of Germany, and accepted the Fuhrer to come in and blood in the streets. And that's how they ended up with a dictator. So
is that true?
That's not accurate at all. No, that's not accurate.
That's extremely accurate. That is the history of the rise of Nazi Germany.
Well, I know it probably just as well or better than anybody else. Otherwise, I wouldn't be out here preaching what I'm talking about and acting like I know
what I'm
talking
go ahead.
about. I do
Bert,
know what I'm talking about.
Platform's yours. Bert, yeah, please educate us, brother. Go ahead.
The brown shirts were originally known. They were known as the SA. The SS was the Schutzstaffel. That was or what we call security squad today. The brown shirts were known as what they call beefsteak Nazis. They were brown on the outside and they were red on the inside, like communists. But they still hated communists nonetheless. Their ideologies reeked of what's called Strasserism. Strasserism is something that the NSM has dealt with here in the United States. And what happened is Hitler, well after he became chancellor, lost control of the brown shirts, and there was millions of them, could not control them anymore. And the ones that he could not control and could not convince to stop doing what they were doing in the streets became known as the Night of the Long Knives, where these people were killed because they could not control themselves, and they were out there hurting people and doing illegal things, exactly what we're talking about today. That's how that happened. So there was no SA building up and then becoming bullying everybody around and turning the Fuhrer into the leader of Germany. It did not happen that way at all.
They supported the Nazi Party.
They were red on the inside, as I said, beefsteak Nazis.
Hitler turned on their commanders when he felt that they were a threat to his power.
Ernst Röhm was an open homosexual. They caught him. He was the leader of the SA. That's why these things happened, and it was dealt with. So to sit there and say that that's why it happened and he became the leader because of that, no. Hitler formed his own security squad, the SS, or known as the Schutzstaffel. That's who protected him. Those are the guys that you see wearing the black tunics, the fancy clothes that were made by Hugo Boss.
Okay. Anybody else? I mean, Bert. Yeah. I mean, what's the fact? I mean, I don't know. I'm ignorant of this subject, so I'm learning. I mean, I'm learning here. So, anybody else want to jump in here?
I would encourage people to study that for themselves rather than take either of our words at this point. Study
That's fair.
For yourself.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. I mean, I guess you could say. I mean, but Bert is. I mean, Bert knows. I mean, I guess you could say that's fair then. I mean, just to be fair. I mean, everybody look at Bert. You would say that, right?
That's
everybody
fair.
Go out and do it yourself. That's what you say, right?
I said that at Nationals. I tell that. I preach that openly, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. Don't take my word for it. Go check it out yourself.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, that's honest, man. I mean, Bert is I'm going to tell you right now, Adam, Bert is I mean, I know you don't know him and everything. You guys are having a conversation back and forth, and respectfully so, but, he does speak pretty much the truth, But let's see here. Minnesota, Sarah, you want to jump in here real quick?
No, I'm good. I'm just listening.
Okay. All right. 518, you're on here. You're up here in New York. You're a friend of the podcast here. You got anything you want to say here?
Yeah. Hey, Commander. How you doing, sir? It's Eric from Upstate.
Hi, Eric.
How you doing, pal? You doing all right?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Just listening, man. Yeah, I'm with the Commander on a lot of what he said. Him and I have talked privately as well. Commander's got a lot of knowledge on the NSM and Nazi Germany. And everybody needs to understand something. None of us were there, okay? And the books were written the way America wanted it to be seen, not possibly exactly what happened. And if you look back at Patton's writings, and Commander, you can back me up on this if I'm wrong or right. Even Patton said that America went up against the wrong. Germany was not the real enemy. That we should have been fighting Russia. The victors, which was the Allied forces, wrote the history books. We all know that the educational system in America is corrupt. And now we're supposed to believe what they say about Nazi Germany being the most evil empire that the world's ever seen, but yet they're now calling that our forefathers were domestic terrorists. Give me a break. And if anybody can't see through that, then they're ignorant or stupid. I just don't know how else to put that. Am I making sense here?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. Yeah, I can agree with that aspect of it. I mean, they do that, but the problem is let's replay World War II. Imagine if we did not go against Germany and we went against Russia. What would have happened with Germany at that time? Would Germany eventually turn on the entire world and wanted to eliminate all other? Because you hear that argument too. Well, it just would have been blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. That's what one pastor told me. I'm just saying what I was told.
That's Jewish propaganda. That's Jewish propaganda. All the people, you can look at Hitler's inner circle. Hitler himself didn't even have blonde hair and blue eyes. He had blue eyes. He didn't have blonde hair, though. And his whole inner circle, Joseph Goebbels, I mean, he was hardly the role model for what they would consider what the Jews called Aryan supermen. So, yes, they had a goal. They preferred that everybody have blonde hair and blue eyes, but they weren't going to systematically kill anybody who didn't. They were still considered the Aryan people, the white people, the right people.
I read is Savashka or Savashki, or there's three guys that had a plan to genocide the white people, the blonde hair, blue eyes, right before World War II started. I can't remember where I read this. And because of Hitler's Anna, who was blonde hair, blue eyes, that's kind of why he went. That in the book it talks about how that's why he started getting them, because there was only 25 at that time. The white population is only 25% of the world population. We were already way down there in numbers. And when they're talking about these three guys were talking about genociding us, the white race, and his girlfriend, who he loved, he was very upset about that, and that's what made him go the way he went. That's what the book talks about, anyways. It has something to do with his life, and I don't know, it came from Germany, but anyways, just thought I'd tell you that, put that little information in there.
Are you talking about his late girlfriend and wife, Eva Braun?
Eva.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I don't know. You know anything about that, Bert? I don't know. I'm just saying out of this one. I don't know.
I didn't fully understand what she was saying. I couldn't hear all of it. The phone was kind of breaking up, but you were saying that he was for or against it because of her.
He was for it. That's why it started because of the it started because of I can't remember the name of those three guys that had the plan to genocide the whites. When he found out about that plan, that's when he started going crazy, and he started wanting to save the blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. That was the reason for that. Why? Because he's not blonde-haired, blue-eyes. Everybody's like, if you think about it, why is he saving the white race? Well, because of Ava, and they wanted to genocide us.
I never heard that one before. That's a new one to me. As far as I know, Adolf Hitler had that since the very beginnings. He was a member of the Thule Society and always believed in that. And that's one of the reasons why they came out with the Nuremberg laws. It said that German people couldn't marry Jewish people who had a certain percentage of Jew in them, that the body could tolerate a certain amount of Jewishness, up to 25%, things of that nature. If you read the Nuremberg laws, they're pretty extensive.
But Sarah and Bert, but you see, though, where you see a lot of people, has this been bred into us? Because I get into debates and discussions with a lot of my friends that are pastors, too, and they say, oh, Joe, you're talking to those Nazi guys. Uh-oh, you're not of God now. You're not, it's not a Christian. I mean, what? Listen, man, I don't, so should I be with Antifa? Is that what you? So it's okay to say, okay, I should go be turned black, and I should wear my pants down to my knees and conform to the world? Because that would be okay then, right? Because I'd be conforming with Romans 13, right? Right? I guess. I don't know. Because we all know if you say you're white and proud, you're automatically you're a racist. That's it. We don't want to hear it no more. What's wrong? See, that's a problem we have, and that's another divide in this country. That's bringing us down. That's destroying us. And I just don't know where to go with that. It's just argumentative. It's just an argumentative point that no one's going to agree upon it. But I'll tell you right now, I can get a lot of black people to call into Bert's show and agree with Bert, and I'd say, hey, that's progress. And he could testify to that because you know what? There's something here that we have to build upon, and right now, what we're doing right now is we're destroying ourselves, and we're allowing this government to destroy us. And that's what we got to really, really wake up to. I think that was the point of the show. But go ahead, guys.
Yeah. Well, the government is run by Jews right now. If you take a look at even Trump's cabinet, you'll see that. Well, Jews know that after World War II, that the white people are the only ones that can actually stand up to them. All these other cultures and races out there, all they're going to do is do what they're doing right now. And everybody else is being guilted into submission. So, of course, we're going to go down this road. Everybody's going to say, oh, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're intolerant. But when it comes down to it, if you look up the word bigot, you can look it up online. You can look at it up in a dictionary. What is it going to say? I can tell you exactly what it's going to say. A person who is intolerant. Well, they're intolerant of our beliefs. They're intolerant of what we want. They're intolerant of anything that doesn't fit their narrative and their agenda. And that makes them bigots, not us.
But if we're God, though, if we're God-fearing people, Bert, in the end, though, aren't we supposed to love? We're a human race. So what do? Separate. All right. We don't get along with this group of people. Okay, yeah. America's a melting pot. We can all agree on that, and it doesn't work. That forcing people to live with this person, live with that person. Listen, man, I've lived in close quarters with black people. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We don't get along. Okay, we're different. So what do? Again, that's a societal problem that we have. It's not going to. We all just going to get along one day. It's not going to work. And the government's pulling the strings.
Exactly what you said, Joe. We have to do exactly what you said. We have to admit that there's a problem, and until the people can't start admitting there's a problem, there's no point in even talking about anything else, because it isn't going to amount to anything. We have to admit that there's a problem. They've been trying for how many centuries now to work out this race problem, and it's only getting worse. Nobody wants to admit that, though. There's everything is just all peachy. Everything's a bowl of cherry and a bed of roses. This is a colossal disaster, and the world is laughing at us. The whole world is. Russia, Putin got on the news here a while back and said that America is no longer a predominantly white country. They're basically laughing at us because we're being mongrelized over here. They're keeping their country white. Israel is certainly keeping their country Jewish. They're building walls around it, and the U.S. taxpayers are funding it. That's okay, though.
Yeah,
they can oust all the
that's a
people
good
out of
point.
Africa. Yeah, they can oust all the people, all the Africans right out of Israel. That's okay. It's okay for the Israelis to discriminate. No problem there. But let a white American do it and see what happens. Oh, my God. It's a racist. It's a bigot. Needs to be put in jail. And it's getting so bad now, just to give you an idea of how bad things are getting, and as you said, Joe, they're going to get worse, is people actually think they can commit crimes now against people who have a different opinion than them. So if you go up to somebody and say, well, I just prefer not to be around black people, these people actually think because of our current system it's okay to punch you in the mouth. Just because you think differently of that. On anything. You could say, I support Donald Trump. Oh, he's a racist. He's a Nazi. He's a bigot. Go beat him up. This is the mindset that these people are taking, and they're winning with this mindset, sadly. People need to grow a backbone. They need to grow a set of balls and start standing up and say, we're not going to take this crap. We're not going to be bullied. And anybody who goes back to the Constitution right now and wants to quote, we can quote Constitution and what the sheriff should be doing, this, that, and the other till we're blue in the face. It doesn't mean shit. Nobody is going to do anything about it. And as Adam said earlier, these laws are already on the books. We don't have to go out there and create these laws. We don't have to go talk to the SCOTUS about it. They're already there. Nobody's enforcing them. Nobody cares. And you know why? Because nobody's making any damn noise. Who's making all the noise right now? Antifa's making all the noise. They're burning down cities. They're committing murder. They're the ones making the noise, so the government's giving them the grease. We're not making any noise. Trump supporters aren't doing anything. Go up there to the D.C. thing, that's the first thing they've done in years, and then they managed to do it so bad they got everybody arrested, and the FBI's looking for them now. Fantastic. Great job. Why didn't I think to do something so stupid?
Well, you're absolutely correct.
To D.C.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely correct on that, Bert. But the only problem that with Hitler is, and I had this conversation privately with a couple individuals, is with Hitler. Hitler was an evolutionist, wasn't he not? And he was a Roman Catholic. Evolution. I mean, Catholic, I can't be. Yeah, was he an evolutionist too? I mean, that's what somebody told me. I don't know.
Define the word evolutionist.
I guess we came from monkeys, or fish. We evolved.
I don't know about that. I couldn't say one way or the other for sure. I tend to say more no than yes because Hitler had a real problem with monkeys. So I tend to think that he wouldn't have a thing thinking that we evolved from monkeys. I do know he was big into the Vikings, but what you're talking about would definitely predate that. But as you said, I do know that he was a Roman Catholic, and he did always say that National Socialism, which would be known as Nazism today, is a Christian movement. That is one of his more famous quotes. But if you listen to what the Jews say, today Germany, tomorrow the world, and it's like that thing with Homer Simpson where they edit everything he says, and you can see the clock moving on the wall behind him and the arms going all over the place because they're editing it, and that's what these Jews do. They're like little rats. They've done this stuff with me. That's why I get so irritated about it and their lies and their nonsense. I could pick it apart, and they know it. They know I'm right on top of them. And I see the fear in their eyes when they try to make trouble. They try to cause all these problems, create these riots, and get white people hurt, get Trump supporters hurt. And when I stand toe-to-toe with these Jews, I can see the fear in their eyes. And anybody who thinks that this isn't Jews out there doing it with all their money, and they are money hoarders, and they manipulate. They've been the masters of deception for 4,000 years. They're not going to change now because it's 2021. Anybody who thinks that's a stupid asshole. So go ahead, Joe. I've ranted enough.
All right. Hey, I don't think the pastors last night might have agreed with you, but hey,
according to them, we're supposed to go lick the boots of the Jews and give all our money to Israel and wear our little Jewish stars and tell them how much we love them.
Well, they say it's God's chosen land. I mean, it's blessed land. They bring up the Abraham, blessed. I guess if you bless the Jews or if you curse the Jews, God curses you. I don't know. I'm not a pastor, so I mean, I'm studying the Bible. I'm a student of it, so I'm ignorant of it still, though. I will admit that. I'm a theology student, so I just don't. I don't want to say things that I don't know anything about. I wish a pastor was here. Joe, go ahead,
I saw a meme the other day that I thought was actually pretty funny. It had a picture of this Jewish broad there. She had this big, long, hooked nose with glasses and stringy hair. She was about as homely looking as you could possibly be. And and on the other side of the picture, it had this beautiful blonde hair, blue-eyed woman on there. She was absolutely stunning. And it says on there, yes, of course, here we've got God had to pick between two races of people to be a chosen people, but after a long deliberation, he chose the Jew on the left. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and it's nothing but mind control.
It is. That's your point. I get it. It's mind control. It's a hate. And you know what? That's really evil, though. That's the devil dividing everybody. I mean, when you think about it, just think about it. The bottom line, root core of this is evil. When you think about it, because you did make a point that nobody's trying to kill or hurt anybody, but you know what? Who is really causing the problems we're facing today? Who's got their hand in it? Who are these people that are the New World Order? Who are these people? We need to research that. Those are the criminals that are forcing us right now into this enslavement. I kind of got to agree with you because I did do some research on that, and most of them are Jewish, actually. They are. Now, there are Jesuits, too. The Jesuits are, too, now. The Jesuits are a major problem. I don't know if you know about that. If you go look at the Alberto story and stuff like that. I wish that guy was on here to tell me about that and to do the research on that. Somebody asked me about that tonight. The Roman Catholic Church where the Jesuits have infiltrated and they got a real big play in the New World Order in the hand and a lot of crap that's going on. So are they in cahoots with the Jew? I don't know. I mean, I need to research that. I learn more and more about the New World Order every day. I'm studying it, and I will bring the knowledge to you as much as I can. And like Bert says, hey, don't believe me. Research it for yourself, So any final thoughts, everybody, before we wrap it up? It was a powerful show here tonight. I mean, Adam, I think I lost Adam. Adam was on here for basically the whole podcast, but I want to thank him though for coming on. Adam is really a good guy. He's been through a lot of crap in his life, and he's seen tyranny firsthand. He has, and he's been screwed over by the Patriot movement like so many times. So, I gotta say, God bless his soul. But Bert, if you got anything final to say here before I wrap it up, and anybody else here on the podcast, jump in.
I seem to have that effect on people. I think I overestimated the Jewish conglomerate when they're throwing their best at me out here. These people, with their PhDs and their MBAs and everything else that they've got, and they come against somebody like me who's got nothing but a high school education and a vocational degree, and it's not anything to do with public speaking or anything of that nature. And they're just completely dumbfounded. They try to put me on the stand in this Charlottesville case and ask me all these questions like, well, do you have any experience in law enforcement or training, working for the federal government? They're scratching their head trying to figure out how it is that I can beat their ass in a courtroom setting, and it just makes them crazy. And I'm doing nothing more than what Hitler has told us to do. The tools are there. Speak the truth and fear no one. And if everybody just does that, regardless of the consequences of it, speak the truth and fear no one. If you do nothing else, do that. You can pick these lies apart. It's so easy to see. But if everybody just is content to go to work and go Friday, you get your paycheck, and Saturday your money's all spent, and Sunday your boss says show up to work Monday morning or you can fuck off. Is that everybody's lot in life, is to do that? Hey, if you're happy with that, keep on keeping on, I guess. Most people want to.
Well, that's not going to be allowed anymore. They're going to be taking that from us very soon. Trust me. The New World Order's got a plan, and it includes you, and it includes Adam. It includes all the callers on here. But what are we going to do about it? That's the key, right, Bert? What are we going to do about it?
We're going to keep on hitting the streets. We're going to keep on doing street activism out there. And I'm surprised that we didn't get off on the swastika tangent, because usually when we talk about what we talked about, usually that's what comes up next. Well, I agree with everything you're saying. I agree with standing up against communism, and I join you if you just didn't have that swastika. And the Jews have demonized that symbol so badly that it's become a powerful weapon for us now. We can actually use it for propaganda. We go out in the streets, and Antifa actually runs from us now when they see it. They're mortified by the sight. Thank you to the Jews.
I have a client that has her grandpa in a onesie as a baby with a swastika symbol on it when it used to be mean religion or What did it mean before? It meant the church or religion. I can't remember which one it was.
Buddha's
but
symbol of
she's
good
got,
fortune.
Yeah, she's got with her grandpa's got it on his onesie as a baby. She's got those pictures. It's kind of cool. Anyways, I just thought to tell you that.
518, you got something you want to add real quick? I got 30 seconds left, and I got to wrap it up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate you sending me a text, Mr. Gibson. Commander, thanks for putting me in contact with Joe. We talk often. It's always good to hear you, man. You got a lot of knowledge, and I just appreciate you guys. And you're right, man. People gotta fight, they gotta stand, and they gotta speak the truth and fear no one.
Hey, that's right. Hey, yeah, man. And thanks, Bert, for getting me in touch with some fans, too. I appreciate that. And I want to say hello to everybody out there tonight. God bless the Republic. And, hey, man, we got to get out there and do something, because doing nothing, we're in trouble. Take care, everybody. Thanks for calling in tonight.